legs is still wobbling. Just trying to cover up. Another solid right hand by Thomas Hearns in a combination. Left eye of Roberto Duran. And Hearns is backing.
Coach, you asked a question. How many of you believe that Thomas Hearns won the second fight?
Tommy Hearns usually likes to establish dominance.
Applause. His legs are still wobbed, trying to cover up another solid right hand by Thomas Hearns in a combination, the left eye of Roberto Duran. And here's his back, and you ask a question: how many of you believe that Thomas Hearns won the second fight? Tommy Hearns usually likes to establish music. Dominance. What if one of boxing's greatest rivalries wasn't just about power, skill, or glory? What if it was built on a secret so shocking it changed how we view one of the sport's toughest warriors, Thomas Hearns? The legendary hitman has revealed a startling truth about his iconic fight with Marvin Hagler. Being the aggressive Hearns working that jab, he has a very quick jab. There's no denying a truth that exposes a side of him the world never knew. The rivalry between Hearns and Hagler is remembered for its ferocity, with their unforgettable battle, the war standing as one of the most brutal fights in history, but Hearns' recent revelation has cast this legendary fight in a new light, peeling back the layers of what it took to step into the ring against a man as formidable as Hagler. In this video, we'll reveal the dark hidden fear that Thomas Hearns carried into one of the greatest matches of his career, how it shaped his performance, and what it means for all of us facing our own battles. This is a story of vulnerability, courage, and overcoming demons that go far beyond the boxing ring to understand the monumental clash between Thomas Hearns and Marvin Hagler. We need to explore the men behind one of the most explosive fights in boxing history. Both fighters were legends in their own right, but their paths to the ring, their styles, and their legacies couldn't have been more different, creating the perfect storm for a fight that the world would never forget. Thomas Hearns was the epitome of power and precision in the boxing ring, known as the Hitman. He built a legacy as one of the greatest knockout artists the sport had ever seen. Hearns began his career with a meteoric rise, racking up victories with his lethal right hand and exceptional reach. His tall, wiry frame bellied the devastating power he carried in both hands, and his opponents often found themselves overwhelmed by his aggressive style and relentless pace. HS's career was defined by his determination and willingness to take on the toughest challenges. He moved through multiple weight divisions, conquering opponents and collecting titles along the way. By the time he faced Marvin Hagler, Hearns was already a household name, known for delivering unforgettable performances against some of the best fighters of his era. But behind the accolades and the confident persona was a man grappling with the enormous pressure of living up to his reputation, especially against an opponent as fearsome as Hagler. On the other side of the ring stood Marvin Hagler, a fighter as tough as they come. Hag wasn't just a boxer. He was a force of nature with a granite chin, relentless work ethic, and unyielding fighting style. Hagler had built a reputation as one of the most durable and intimidating middleweights in history. He wasn't flashy or flamboyant.
Hagler being the aggressive. Hearns working that jab. He has a very quick jab. There's no denying it.
But he didn't need to be. His dominance in the ring spoke for itself. Hagler's reign as middleweight champion was marked by his ability to adapt to any opponent. Whether he needed to brawl or box, he could adjust his strategy to secure victory. His southpaw stance and ability to switch seamlessly to orthodox added to his mystique, making him a nightmare for anyone who dared to challenge him. By the time he met Hearns, Hagler had already established himself as the undisputed king of the middleweight division. With an aura of invincibility that few fighters could crack, the stage was set for an unforgettable showdown. Thomas Hearns and Marvin Hagler were two of the most dominant fighters of their time, each representing a different style and approach to the sport. Hearns' speed, reach, and knockout power were pitted against Hagler's iron will, versatility, and ability to absorb punishment. The fight billed as the war was a collision of two warriors at the peak of their powers. The anticipation was electric. Fans and analysts alike debated who would come out on top, the power-punching hitman or the relentless, marvelous Marvin. The stakes couldn't have been higher. For Hagler, it was an opportunity to solidify his dominance as one of the greatest middleweight champions in history. For Hearns, it was a chance to prove he could step into Hagler's territory and take the crown, adding to his already legend AR resume. Both men knew that this fight wasn't just about titles, it was about legacy. As the anticipation reached its peak, the boxing world braced itself for a battle that would test not only the skill and strength of these two warriors, but also their heart resilience and determination behind the bright lights and roaring crowd. However, Thomas Hearns carried a secret hidden fear that would shape his approach to this historic fight. Little did the fans know this wouldn't just be a fight of fists, but a battle of willpower and mental strength that would cement the rivalry as one of the greatest in the history of the sport. For decades, Thomas Hearns was revered as one of the most fearless and dominant fighters in boxing history. His devastating knockout power and ability to dismantle opponents earned him the nickname the Hitman, but recently Hearns shocked the boxing world by revealing a startling truth. He felt fear leading up to his legendary fight with Marvin Hagler. This admission was unexpected from a fighter known for his confidence and aggressive style. However, the more you consider the context of that iconic matchup, the more understandable Hearns' fear becomes. Marvin Hagler wasn't just another opponent. He was a juggernaut known for his toughness, relentless style, and ability to absorb punishment. Hagler was the kind of fighter who could make even the most seasoned champions second-guess themselves. Hagler's reputation played a significant role in Hearns' apprehension. Coming into the fight, Hagler had cemented himself as an indomitable force in the middleweight division. Man, at all times, shake him good, Lou. The both of you got to, as Ray said. Tommy Hearns usually likes to establish dominance himself. His ability to adapt to any style, his southpaw stance, and his unparalleled endurance made him one of the most intimidating figures in the sport. For Hearns, the stakes were enormous. He wasn't just fighting for the title. He was stepping into the ring with a man who seemed almost invincible. Hearns' revelation about his fear is significant because it defies the image of invulnerability often associated with prof athletes, especially in combat sports. Boxing, perhaps more than any other sport, demands a level of physical and mental toughness that can seem almost superhuman. Fighters are trained to show no weakness, to exude confidence, and to maintain an aura of invincibility. Hearns' willingness to admit that he felt fear breaks the stereotype. It humanizes him, showing that even the greatest athlete aren't immune to self-doubt and apprehension in a world that often glorifies toughness above all else. Hearns' admission is a reminder that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the ability to move forward despite it. This is why Hearns' revelation resonates so deeply. It reminds us that fear is a universal experience, one that doesn't diminish greatness, but instead makes it more relatable for fans and athletes alike. His honesty serves as a powerful reminder that vulnerability and strength are not mutually exclusive. Leading up to the fight, Hearns had to grapple with his own doubts and fears. The pressure of facing a fighter like Hagler, combined with the expectations of the boxing world, created an intense mental battle. Hearns knew that any hesitation or lapse in focus could cost him everything. To succeed, he had to find a way to channel his fear into fuel, turning it into a motivator rather than a roadblock. This mental struggle is something many athletes face, though few talk about it openly. Hearns' admission shines a light on the psychological toll of competing at the highest level. The fight against Hagler wasn't just physical. It was a battle against his own mind, a test of whether he could conquer the doubts that threatened to undermine his confidence.
And at all times. Shake hands, good luck to both of you.
As Ray said, Tommy Hearns usually likes to establish dominance for himself up.
Hearns' journey is also a mirror for challenges faced in everyday life. Fear and self-doubt are not exclusive to athletes. They are universal human experiences, whether it's preparing for a major presentation, making a life-changing decision, or facing a personal challenge. We all encounter moments where fear threatens to hold us back. What makes Hearns' story so inspiring is that he didn't let his fear define him. Instead, he found the strength to step into the ring and give one of the most memorable performances of his career. His courage to not only face Hagler, but also admit the fear he felt beforehand, serves as a powerful example of how we too can confront and overcome the things that scare us most. In the end, Hearns' revelation doesn't diminish his legacy, it enhances it. By sharing this hidden truth, he has shown us that even the most legendary figures are human, and their greatness often lies not in their invincibility, but in their ability to rise above their doubts and fears. This lesson, drawn from one of the most iconic rivalries in boxing history, is as timeless as the sport itself. The showdown between Thomas Hearns and Marvin Hagler on April 15th, 1985 wasn't just another title fight. It was an event that captured the imagination of boxing fans worldwide. Billed as the war, the fight lived up to its name, and then some, delivering an unforgettable display of skill, brutality, And the anticipation for Hearns versus Hagler was electric. Both fighters entered the ring with something to prove. Hearns, having dominated multiple weight classes, was seen as a dangerous challenger with his devastating power and range. Hagler, the reigning middleweight champion, was out to defend his crown and solidify his status as one of the all-time greats. The pre-fight promotion amplified the drama. Fans and critics alike debated endlessly about who would emerge victorious. Hearns, with his height, reach, and speed, seemed tailor-made to trouble Hagler. On the other hand, Hagler's toughness, adaptability, and relentless pressure made him a favorite in the eyes of many. Both fighters trained meticulously. Understanding the stakes, Hagler prepared for Hearns' knockout power, knowing he would have to close the distance quickly to neutralize his opponent's strengths. Hearns, meanwhile, worked on strategies to keep Hagler at bay and exploit his reach advantage mentally and physically. Both men were ready for war from the opening bell. It was clear this wasn't going to be a typical boxing match. The first round is widely regarded as one of the greatest in boxing history. Hagler stormed out of his corner immediately, pressing the action and throwing wild, looping punches to force Hearns onto the defensive. Hearns responded with blistering right hands, one of which cut Hagler early. The pace was frenetic, with neither fighter backing down. Hagler absorbed Hearns' best shots and kept moving forward, landing brutal punches to the body and head. Hearns, known for his power, unleashed a series of combinations, but Hagler's granite chin kept him in the fight. By the end of the first round, both men were already bloodied and battered, setting the tone for what was to come. The second round saw a slight shift in momentum. Hearns, trying to maintain distance, began to show signs of fatigue, while Hagler's relentless pressure started to wear him down. Hagler continued to target Hearns' body, sapping his energy and closing the gap. The climax came in the third round. Hagler, sensing that Hearns was weakening, launched a relentless assault. After landing a series of punishing blows, Hag connected with a devastating right hand that sent Hearns stumbling. A few more punches followed, and Hearns crumbled to the canvas. The referee counted him out, and just like that, Hagler had secured a TKO victory in one of the most memorable fights in boxing history. The fight cemented both Hagler and Hearns as legends of the sport. While Hagler walked away with the victory, Hearns' willingness to stand toe-to-toe with one of the toughest champions of all time earned him immense respect. Both fighters displayed extraordinary courage and determination, traits that resonated with fans and elevated the fight to mythical status. The war is remembered not just for its brutality, but for the way it captured the essence of boxing. It was a battle of wills, a test of heart, and a showcase of what happens when two of the best fighters of their generation meet. Without hesitation, Hagler's victory solidified his legacy as one of the greatest middleweights in history, while Hearns' performance added another chapter to his illustrious career. The fight continues to be celebrated as a shining example of boxing at its best, a reminder of the sport's unique ability to blend skill, strategy, and raw emotion into something unforgettable. Fear is an unavoidable element of high-stakes competition, especially in sports like boxing, where the stakes are not just titles and legacies, but the physical and mental limits of the athletes involved. Thomas Hearns' revelation about his fear leading up to his fight with Marvin Hagler offers a unique glimpse into the psychological battles athletes face before stepping onto their grandest stages. Far from being a sign of weakness, Hearns' fear was a natural response to the immense pressure and the formidable challenge ahead. Fear in sports is often misunderstood. It's easy to think of top athletes as fearless warriors, but the truth is that fear is a universal experience, even for the greatest competitors. In many ways, fear serves a dual purpose. It can either paralyze an athlete, making them second-guess their abilities, or it can sharpen their focus and ignite their drive to succeed. For Hearns, the prospect of facing Marvin Hagler, one of the most intimidating fighters of all time, created a complex mental battle. The stakes couldn't have been higher. Hearns wasn't just fighting to win a title. He was stepping into the ring against a man whose reputation and fighting style inspired a unique kind of dread. The pressure to perform calm, combined with the awareness of Hagler's strengths, created a potent mixture of fear and determination. In Hearns' mind, Marvin Hagler wasn't just a champion. He was a fighter who embodied toughness and resilience. Hagler's fighting style was relentless, marked by his ability to walk through punches and punish his opponents with unyielding pressure. He had a granite chin that seemed impervious to damage, and a physicality that overwhelmed even the most skilled opponents. For Hearns, preparing for Hagler wasn't just about honing his physical skills. It was about mentally preparing to face someone who seemed almost impossible to hurt Hagler's ability to absorb punishment, and his relentless aggression created an aura of invincibility that played heavily on his opponent's mind. Psychological warfare also played a role. Hagler's stoic demeanor and quiet confidence added to his mystique. Unlike Hearns, who thrived on outward expressions of confidence and energy, Hagler let his presence do the talking. His calm but intimidating persona sent a clear message. He was ready for war no matter the cost. Despite the daunting challenge, Hearns didn't let his fear control him. Instead, he channeled it into one of the most aggressive and memorable performances of his career. In the opening round of the war, Hearns came out swinging, throwing thunderous punches that immediately tested Hagler's legendary durability. The ferocity of Hearns' attack was a testament to his ability to harness his fear and use it as a motivator rather than a hindrance. This phenomenon, turning fear into fuel, is something seen across sports. Legendary athletes in various disciplines have admitted to feeling fear before their greatest performances. Michael Jordan once spoke about his nerves before important games, using that anxiety to sharpen his focus. Serena Williams has described how her fear of failure drives her to train harder and push her limits. In these moments, fear becomes a catalyst for greatness rather than a barrier to success. For Hearns, fear became the driving force behind his explosive start against Hagler. Although he ultimately lost the fight, his performance in those opening moments remains one of the most talked about displays of aggression and determination in boxing history. Hearns showed that fear, when managed correctly, can be a powerful ally in achieving peak performance. Hearns' experience serves as a reminder that fear is not the enemy, it's a natural response RSP to high-press situations, and how we respond to it determines the outcome. By acknowledging his fear and using it as motivation, Hearns turned a potential weakness into a strength. The story of Hearns and Hagler goes beyond boxing. It's a universal tale of facing our greatest challenges, battling our own doubts, and discovering the courage to move forward. Hearns' fear didn't define him, it drove him to deliver one of the most electrifying performances of his career, proving that even in the face of intimidation, greatness is possible.